Herschel Walker's got some splaining to do when it comes to abortion, because it had seemed up until this point like he was pretty clear about where he stood, saying there's no exception in my mind. He said that back in May. He said it in an interview literally yesterday. He said, like I say, I believe in life. I believe in life. I've always been for life. And he also said that that's important to him, not just as a position, but also politically, saying there's not a national ban on abortion right now, and I think that's a problem. So if he gets into the Senate, he's a vote for national ban on abortion at 15 weeks or 1.5 weeks, 5 minutes, I don't know. He's insane, he'll do whatever they tell him to do. But here's the issue. People have done a little bit of research and they found that there is in fact one exception for him when it comes to abortion, and that is in his own personal life as a massive hypocrite. So a woman has come out and detailed to the Daily Beast her experience with Herschel Walker, where he not only encouraged her to have an abortion, but paid for it as well. Now, she is asked not to be identified out of privacy concerns. She probably has this silly notion that the Republicans would harass her and try to get someone to kill her. It's crazy, I know, but that's her position. She says this happened back in 2009 when they were dating. She said she had the procedure and that Walker reimbursed her for it. She accompanied this with receipts, like literal receipts actually. A receipt for $575 from the abortion clinic, a literal get well card from Walker, which is just a nice touch, I think. A bank deposit receipt that includes an image of a signed $700 personal check from Walker. Now, we can date this because of the receipts. The abortion apparently took place on September 12th, 2009. Walker wrote the woman a check on September 17th, so he was relatively prompt, very different from Trump in that way. And you can see here his signature, like I wanna say it's his signature, but it's also his signature on the get well card. Rest, relax, recover with a nice cup of tea or something. That's nice, Sabrina. We're gonna get into a lot of other issues here, including his attempt to try to wash this away or deny it. But the Daily Beast has said that they've fact checked this. They've talked to contemporaries of hers at the time. They have multiple receipts of it happening. And it ain't like Herschel Walker's got a great record of telling the truth. So what do you think about this?
Well, it's a tale as old as time, abortions for me, not for thee. It's kind of the name of the game when it comes to conservatives like Herschel Walker, where they don't actually believe in these draconian policies that they pretend that they believe in. They're really just trying to win over conservatives. That's what it is, even though, when it comes down to, his own past or like a mistress or something, yeah, abortions for sure. So, big old hypocrite right there. But also that card, what a sad little card. That looks like clip art from a 2005 Microsoft Word document. You couldn't do any better. Wow, that's very sad.
Yeah, I think he chose the first one he saw. I love the little thing that he wrote too. Pray you are feeling better. Okay, you can pray if you want to, if that's your version of it. Anyway, yeah, and so I'm glad that this came out. Oh God, we've got more from the actual, like you can see in this next picture, more of his signatures and everything. It appears to be authentic. I mean, look, it's not impossible that somebody like this could be made up, but it looks pretty real. And they definitely looked into it. They talked to her, they talked to a friend. And if this bothers you, wait until you find out more details, including that the woman said that Walker, who was not married at the time, although spoiler alert, if he had been, that wouldn't bother the Republicans either. They don't actually care about any of this. Let's be clear about that. Told her it would be more convenient to terminate the pregnancy, saying it was, quote, not the right time for him to have a child. It was a feeling she shared. But what she didn't know was that Walker had an out of wedlock child with another woman earlier that same year. Although to be fair, that might be why it wasn't a great time for him to have a child with her. So his stories actually kind of make sense when you think about it. But like, look at that. She accidentally got pregnant, apparently. They had not been planning for this. And both he and she thought, well, it's not the right time. It's not that I wouldn't ever want to have a child. I mean, he clearly has different children, some of which we know about, maybe some we don't. But it wasn't the right time. And so they decided to terminate it, which is their right. Their rationale makes sense. It's the rationale that a lot of people would have, and they had the freedom to terminate it. Herschel Walker and that woman enjoyed the freedom that everyone should have for the exact same reasons that everyone should have them. And that is why this just hits so hard, at least for me, that he just like blindly went through his life enjoying these liberties. And now that he's in a position to strip them away from other people, suddenly he holds a different position. It's just disgusting. This is what we hate about politicians.
Are some people actually trying to pretend as if this woman is lying about this? Because I don't believe that she's lying, because for one, you have to admit that you had sexual relations with Herschel Walker. So that alone, I feel, validates her. So, plus all the receipts and the card and the signatures. But yeah, shame on you, Herschel.
Yeah, considering the China took our good air stuff and him frequently getting right up to the line of murdering people, admitting that you've been involved with him, I guess lowers your stock price a little bit, I suppose. But she's willing to take one for the team, and I do appreciate that, because people need to know that she said when asked why she came forward, it was because of his newfound hardline position on abortion, saying I just can't with the hypocrisy anymore. We all deserve better. And I agree. Although, look, to say that he's being hypocritical is, I think, true in a way, and I've claimed that. But at the same time, it's sort of worse than that, right? Because it's not hypocrisy when there is actually something that's consistent between the two positions. Okay, hypocrisy is when you have different positions on the same thing, but he has the same position on one thing. It's just not specifically abortion, it's who should determine what happens to a woman's body. And he believes that he should decide that. He believed that when he was pressuring her to get the abortion, and he believes that now when he's trying to stop other women from getting abortions. He's not hypocritical when it comes to him thinking that men should be the ones who determine what happens to women's bodies and who has the right to decide. He's actually strikingly consistent on that over time. He's hypocritical about the religious stuff and everything, which doesn't bother me because I'm a godless atheist. But if I was one of those religious conservatives that pretends that I give a damn what's in the Bible and all that, then I would probably feel obligated to have a little bit of an issue with this. But based on my brief survey of a lot of what Republicans are saying about this, they do not feel that obligation. They are perfectly fine, just as with Trump and all the rest, saying that they believe one thing about families and life and fidelity and loyalty and all of that, and then vigorously supporting guys that don't believe literally any of that. Because again, these are not standards that are meant to drive and guide their behavior. This isn't someone who like reads a book on stoicism and is like, I'm gonna try to follow that. This is a structure of control that they give the briefest like tip of the hat to, but it's for you to conform to. They're rich, wealthy, powerful people. They're gonna do whatever the hell they want. They don't want you doing whatever you want though, and thus the religious dogma and all of that. Before we move on to other aspects on this, Sabrina, you have anything else you want to say?
No, just you're right. It's just a mask that nobody can even live up to anyway. He's just trying to win over conservative voters. He doesn't actually mean it. None of them actually mean it. It's just that's how it goes. That's just how conservatives roll.
That is unfortunately the case. Let's turn now to his response. Herschel Walker might not have been expecting for this massive bombshell about his prior paying for an abortion to come out. And so his initial response to it, his attempt to control the message, hasn't necessarily been great. He put out a statement last night saying that the story is a flat out lie and said he denied it in the strongest possible terms. But more importantly than that, he says, I planning to sue the Daily Beast for this defamatory lie. It will be filed tomorrow morning. And importantly, that statement was put out last night. And so I'm left this morning wondering when that's gonna happen. His legal team put out this statement. We are currently considering our options, but no final decision has been made on the future handling of this matter. Well, that's weird because you sounded so final last night. And then maybe you thought about it a bit and realized that were this to be a court case, there would be a process of discovery and the truth would come out, and that's probably not gonna go that well for you.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.